AEW made more history today because they have a very big show coming up. In case you didn't know, at the end of this month, AEW is heading to Wembley Stadium in London, England for the biggest event in company history and one of the biggest events of all time. And they made more history today because as of this afternoon, AEW officially surpassed the SummerSlam 1992 attendance record with over 79,000 tickets sold for Wembley, which is still a few weeks away. They're going to pass 80,000. They're not there yet, but they are on their way. But the SummerSlam 92 record, as far as wrestling goes at Wembley, has fallen. And AEW took steps tonight to solidify the card for All In with some more match announcements. But they ended the show for the second week in a row with a women's match. With a match for the AEW Women's World Championship that is back-to-back weeks. Hikaru Shida won the title last week from Toni Storm. Shida was back in the main event tonight on the show defending her title against Anna Jay. And that is not a coincidence that Tony Khan has given the women the main event spot now 2 straight weeks, coming off the heels of the sign that they caught on camera, pleading with Tony Khan to book the women's division better, coming off of this whole Lufisto controversy and the AEW women's locker room rebelling last week against this woman, coming together in unity, coming together in solidarity to push back on all of the allegations of selfishness and backbiting and politicking and all of the things that people were talking about last week. Tony Khan is trying to deflect away from that and to show that he cares about women's wrestling. But here's the thing that I would say, especially after having seen that main event tonight. Booking the women's division better does not mean just putting them in the main event every week. Now, if you have a story, if you have a match that makes sense to be in the main event, then by all means, go ahead and do so. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take time for him, if he's interested in doing so, to come up with compelling stories and really build the women's division up a little bit more. Throwing Hikaru Shida out there for a match with Anna Jay is not a main event. It was a very weak main event with a very bizarre ending, too, by the way, which we're going to get into. The way that match ended. But definitely not a coincidence that we now have that 2 weeks in a row. The thing I like the most about this show tonight, and really what's been the highlight of AEW television now for a number of weeks, has been Adam Cole and MJF and the story that they are telling with them as they prepare for their big AEW World Championship match at Wembley Stadium. But now we find out that Adam Cole and MJF are not only going to be wrestling each other at All In for the AEW World Championship, they are going to be wrestling together on the pre-show, on the 0-hour pre-show, and they are going to be wrestling not even for an AEW title, they're going to be wrestling for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles against Aussie Open. Aussie Open is awesome. One of the best teams in the world right now, bell to bell. Love that they're going to have a match at Wembley Stadium. I'm happy for them. I think that's great. I do think it's a risk taking your two main eventers and putting them in a pre-show match earlier in the night. I do think that's a risk, and it's a little strange. But again, they are telling a story with these two. There is no doubt that whatever happens in that tag team title match on the pre-show is going to feed into whatever angle that they have planned for the main event. And I can sit here and tell you right now that I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. You know, we've been talking about this now for weeks. We've been brainstorming different possibilities, how this angle may end, who might turn on who, how does Roderick Strong factor into this? We had a little twist in that story tonight. I honestly don't know what Tony Khan is going to do. Which again is one of the things about this that I like, because there's a lot of different ways they could go with this. This was a wrinkle I was not expecting, coming to find out that they're going to be wrestling twice in one night. The Young Bucks had a match tonight with the Hardys. We have not seen them in the ring together in over a year. But we also got the official announcement. It is official for the AEW World Tag Team titles at All In on August 27th at Wembley. It will be the Young Bucks challenging Dax and Cash for the AEW World Tag Team titles. That is going to be one of the greatest tag team matches in AEW history. And we have seen some great tag team matches in the history of this company. We just saw 2 of them on Collision back-to-back weeks between Bullet Club Gold and FTR, and then got another one between FTR, MJF, and Adam Cole, all within the span of a few weeks. And I can think off the top of my head of some of the other great tag team matches that we have seen from this company over the years. Maybe none better than the cage match last year between the Bucks and the Lucha Bros, or was it in 2021? It all kind of runs together. I think it was last year. That is one of the greatest matches in AEW history. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page against the Young Bucks, that would be another one. But what we're going to get at Wembley Stadium in front of the biggest crowd this company has ever performed in front of is one of the greatest tag team matches of all time. I'll go out and say it now. I know I'm not taking a big leap by saying that, but there's no way that those two teams don't go out there and with the intention, the sole intention of having the best possible match that anybody could consider having. So it's exciting to think of what those two teams are going to bring to the table, given their past matches, which have been great. What do you think they're going to do on a stage like this? Because there's no stage bigger than the one they're going to have in London at the end of this month. You cannot have a bigger tag team match than that one. If you're going to make a tag team title match for Wembley, that's the one to make. We also had Rob Van Dam. 52-year-old Rob Van Dam, he was back in action. First time in a while that I've seen RVD in action. I know he's been wrestling independently, but he challenged Jungle Boy Jack Perry, I guess Jungle Boy no more, for the FTW Championship. So that was another big attraction on the show tonight. And we also have another match that is official for All In. It's going to be a coffin match. They have found out what the spot is going to be for Sting. Sting has his spot now on the Wembley Stadium show. So it was a noteworthy show for some of the announcements they made. As far as the show overall, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything terribly exciting. The MJF and the Adam Cole stuff was the most entertaining part of the show. There were some good matches on the show. I like the RVD match, I think, the most. Out of all the matches on the show, I thought he and Jack Perry put a great performance in tonight. First time they ever worked together. I thought it was good. But, you know, again, it was, now that I look back on it, the show is over now. It was fine, but nothing really special. Not one of the more exciting episodes of Dynamite, but storyline-wise, they moved the stories forward that they needed to move. You know, the MJF and Cole stuff, the Swerve Strickland, Darby Allin stuff, Young Bucks at FTR, made that match official. RVD and Jack Perry, there was no Hook. Hook must still be on that train that we saw him on a few weeks ago. We haven't seen Hook. That's a long-ass train ride. So we didn't see him. But, again, things are moving forward. And the card is starting to fill out. Finally, it's starting to take shape for what we're going to get at Wembley. Still only one match that we know of for All Out, but All Out is unfortunately going to be on the back burner until we get past Wembley. So the only thing we know for All Out in Chicago at the beginning of September is that the TNT title will be on the line. It's going to be Darby Allin challenging for the TNT Championship. For that show, that's all we know. And my guess is the majority of that card we are not going to know until post All In. That last edition of Dynamite, before All Out, is where they'll put that whole card together. And I am still stunned, unless something changes, that there is no plan to offer All In and All Out as some sort of pay-per-view bundle deal. Because I thought that was a no-brainer, and evidently that's not the case. They'll have two pay-per-views on back-to-back weekends. There's no bundle for people who might want to purchase both shows. I'm watching the shows regardless, obviously, because I'm going to be reviewing them. But, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of feedback online and getting messages and tweets from people who are going to have to make a choice because not everybody is going to want to pay for both shows or can afford both shows. And that is something that is actually very surprising to me, that they're not offering some sort of bundle deal, as far as we know. But this is your AEW Dynamite review for Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. I am the Solomonster. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Wednesday night. Thank you to everybody who hung out with me on Monday night. It was a good episode of Raw, and I thought there was some good analysis and good discussion on that stream. So hopefully we'll have more of the same here tonight. Like and subscribe. 400 likes is the goal for Be the Booker. We got a ways to go, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Super chats are open. I already see some of them popping up. So get those on in. If you have questions, go ahead and submit them. Channel memberships are open as well. If you want to gift a membership to somebody, or 5, or 10, or 20, I'm just saying, you have the option of doing so. And if you are a channel member, let me see some of those emojis in the live chat, because you got access to some special ones for you only. So go ahead and feel free to use those. Dynamite tonight kicked off with the Jericho Appreciation Society already in the ring, all but Jericho himself. So in the ring, we had Sammy Guevara, we had Jake Hager, we had Anna Jay, Daniel Garcia, Ty Mello, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker. And Menard introduced Chris Jericho, who came out, got his own entrance. This was after the JAS told Jericho they were calling a mandatory meeting of the faction this week, so Jericho would have to attend. And they would be able to get him in the ring face to face, because they had things to get off their chest. Jericho's been contemplating whether or not he wants to link up with Don Callis, and this has not sat well with his because he's part of an existing faction. They're not happy about that. Hence the meeting that we had tonight. I should point out that it was 24 years ago tonight on Raw is War in Chicago that Chris Jericho made his WWE debut. We had the Millennium Countdown. Jericho came out, interrupted The Rock, one of the greatest debuts of all time. 24 years ago tonight. Raw is Jericho. And there he was in the ring tonight. He started by saying, good one, guys. Didn't even give me a heads up that you were coming to the ring without me. He said that he knows they've had a lot of problems, and Daniel Garcia immediately cut him off. Cut him off, told him, stop talking. You're going to listen to what we have to say. And he remembered being hit with a baseball bat last week in the head. And instead of, I guess, reacting in a different way, Jericho took advantage and he covered him and he pinned him. And this did not sit very well with Daniel Garcia. He talked about how he chose Jericho over his idol, of course, referring to Bryan Danielson. He said that Jericho is not choosing him, so he can no longer choose Jericho. And Garcia, he got up in Jericho's face, he thrusted in Jericho's face, and he left the ring. Short and to the point. So off goes Daniel Garcia. That's one member down. Jake Hager spoke next. Talked about going all over the world for all these years with Jericho. He admits that Jericho made him a lot of money. He said that it's okay if they have to cut ties. He's got a lot of options. Does he? Does he? I mean, I guess when you're big, you'll always have options. But what exactly are all of the options that Jake Hager has? I wonder. But he wanted everybody to know that he does not appreciate Jericho. And he left the ring. So now he was gone. Jericho told the remaining members that you got to admit, you guys are in a better place for having been with me and having been a part of this group than not. Then he talked about Anna Jay. Look at Anna Jay. You've got an AEW Women's World Championship match tonight. Ty Mello spoke up. She said that she used to be proud to be in a group with Jericho, but now she just feels sick. She said it has nothing to do with her being with child. That has nothing to do with it. I'm sure she's sick enough. Probably having all sorts of weird cravings, right? How many months along is she at this point? I don't remember how deep into the pregnancy she is exactly. She said that she was going to have her baby. She was going to come back next year. And she was going to become a champion without Jericho because she quits. Anna Jay spoke up next. She said Jericho was being selfish. She said tonight, she's going to win the AEW Women's World Championship. It's not about appreciating Jericho. She dropped the microphone and she left the ring. Angelo Parker spoke about the pride that he had and has in being a member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Parker said that he's given Jericho everything he had. And then he asked the question, what has Jericho given him? Parker said that he didn't want to do it, but Jericho gave him no choice. He said he had nothing left to give him, and he exited the ring. I should respond. I should defend myself here in the chat. It's not an unhealthy obsession with hating JK. You have to understand something, okay? For years, I had to listen to all these comments about, hey, you know who you look like? You look like Jake Hager. At the time, he was Jack Swagger. You look like Jack Swagger, right? I never saw it. I still don't see it. I don't understand it. Other than being white, I don't see what the similarities are. But I had to listen to this for years. And then it really hit home with me when I was in Miami for WrestleMania that first time. And I'm sitting there, and we're about to do an interview face-to-face, like 6:30 in the morning. I'm sitting there, Radio Row at Fan Access. I'm about to do this interview with Kofi Kingston. And he looks at me, and he goes, do you know who you look like? And again, the comment, actually in that interview, I think there was a comment about me looking like Johnny Ace too, but you look like Jack Swagger. And I never saw it, and I said, this fucking guy. So that's part of it. That's part of it. I know, thank you. I look nothing like Jake Hager. I don't know what these people are on. These people are on some kind of weird drugs. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so off went Angelo Parker. Now it's time for Matt Menard. Matt Menard said that Jericho was his childhood hero. He said that he bought a Chris Jericho t-shirt with his very first paycheck. And he recalled, actually, it's funny, I have the Jericho Cruise shirt on right now. I have a Chris Jericho shirt on right now because they gave out these free shirts at the end of the cruise. The first and only Jericho cruise that I went on. Although technically, I think that may have been the second one. But it was my first. But anyway. Spent money on a Jericho shirt with his first paycheck. He remembered having no job while his wife was 8 months pregnant. So that would have been when NXT, they let him go. And it was Jericho who invited him to his home. And it was Jericho who helped get him a job here in AEW. And he said these past 18 months that he has been here, these past 18 months that he has been part of the Jericho Appreciation Society, have been a dream. Like the best time of his life, the best time of his career. He wondered why guys like Kevin Steen and Eddie Kingston that he came up with hated Jericho's guts. And now he knows why. And Menard left the ring. Sammy Guevara slapped the microphone out of Jericho's hand when Jericho went to go speak. He was the last one in the ring with Jericho. He told Jericho he needed to listen for once. Sammy said that he had his back. He went from challenging for the world title to fighting another one of Jericho's battles. He said he put Sting through a table, not because he wanted to, but because he did it for Jericho. And Guevara said that he's loyal and he wasn't walking out on Jericho, but it seemed like Jericho had a lot of work to do on his own. He had a lot to work out in his own situation. But once he did that, maybe I'll be here for you. And Sammy left the ring. He left through the crowd. And Jericho was all alone. So what started as a segment with all the members of the JAS in the ring together left Jericho all by himself in the middle of the ring. It was a little odd to me that Sammy didn't leave. He didn't walk out when his pregnant wife left. But he was the last one out. I like that he was the lone person, though. I do like that because his history with Jericho goes back all the way to the very beginning of all of this Jericho faction stuff. In fact, Sammy was in the ring. He was wearing a vest that said Inner Circle Original. Why is Solomonster a Punk hater? Why does he hate Punk so much? What did he ever do to him? Hey, Bobbert Reviews, thank you for the $40 super chat drop. CM Punk, why? Why does Solomonster hate CM Punk? I don't know. I'm still wondering what the answer to that question is. Nobody's told me. I hear it, but nobody's told me. Bobbert, thank you. Again, I'm going to be getting to your super chats here in a little bit. So I did like that part because Sammy's history with Jericho is the richest really out of anybody in the group. As far as AEW, obviously Jericho's history with Hager goes back to their WWE days together. But, you know, each person got to speak. They kept it brief. They said their piece and they walked out. In the back after the break, Jericho told Don Callis that, look, I'm going to make my decision next week. far as what he's going to do. Is he going to join the Don Callis family or not? Callis was all excited. He said, I'll take care of all the preparations. So clearly he's assuming that Jericho is going to give an answer in the affirmative. He's preparing for Jericho to join the family. And that could be the catalyst to the rumored match for All In. Rumor has it, it's going to be Jericho against Will Ospreay. And we'll find out next week. But I do not see Jericho joining the Don Callis family. I don't know what that means for the future of the JAS, if they're just going to continue the group on. Or if maybe they will start phasing each member out kind of on their own into their own thing. I'd like to see that. I think the group has run its course. But no, I don't see Jericho linking up with Don Callis next week. We had the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, re-signed with AEW, a new multi-year contract for all 4 members of the Elite. I reported on that last week, talked about it on the podcast this weekend, and why Tony Khan had to make that move. He had to. Had no choice. He had to make sure he kept those guys. He could not lose all of them together, because where one went, they made a pact all 4 of them would go. You can't have all 4 of them, 3 of them being EVPs, walking out on your company and walking into the other one. That just doesn't work. So Tony Khan has locked those guys down. Young Bucks against the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. Matt and Jeff Hardy, as a team, have not had a match together on Dynamite in a very long time. And that is of Jeff Hardy's own doing, because Jeff Hardy fucked up last year. Not the first time, may not be the last time. But he fucked up last year, and Tony Khan said that if Jeff Hardy got himself right and did all the things that he was supposed to do and went to rehab and behaved himself, he would be welcomed back into AEW with open arms. And Jeff's been back now for a few months, but I know he's been itching to get back on Dynamite, so tonight was his chance to do so. We had some back and forth action during the commercial break, with Nick Jackson avoiding a twist of fate. Matt Hardy, though, he adjusted. He spiked Nick with a DDT. Right as Jeff was about to make the tag, Matt Jackson pulled the leg out from underneath, and the Bucks kept Hardy briefly isolated before a double clothesline. So we had both Matts. We had Matt Hardy and we had Matt Jackson, and they were slugging it out until Jackson fell to a side effect. Nick and Jeff, they made simultaneous tags. Jeff fought both Bucks off, and he wiped them out with the Whisper in the Wind. Nick and Matt, they avoided double twists of fate, delivered a pair of super kicks. They hit a 3D on Jeff. The Hardys were able to avoid the Meltzer driver, and they hit dueling twists of fate. Jeff hit a swanton bomb on Nick. Again, just to watch him hit that swanton bomb now, the way he's been doing it the past few years, where he just puts all of his weight onto the person. I'll tell you this much. It looks more devastating than the swanton bomb looked when Jeff was not as broken down as he is right now. Because back then, he would barely graze the guy. Hit him with the back of his head maybe. But because it's hell on his back, he just lands full force on his opponents, and it actually looks more devastating that way. But he hit the swanton bomb on Nick. Matt broke it up at the very last second. So Matt Hardy made a tag. Nick got dropped with multiple twist of fates. Matt Jackson was able to super kick the leg out from under Jeff as he was scaling the ropes to go for another Whisper in the Wind. And the Bucks hit the BTE trigger to Matt Hardy for the victory. I thought this was a perfectly fine match, as good as you're going to get from the Hardys at this stage here in 2023. The Bucks got the predictable win. The Bucks avenged their loss from Double or Nothing. The last time we saw them in the ring together was Double or Nothing 2022. The Hardys beat the Bucks. So this was the Bucks getting their win back. I thought Jeff looked fine. There was some question the last time I saw him in the ring. Last tag team match he had. There were a few flubs in there. He didn't look at his best. But Jeff was fine here. After the match, Nick Jackson got on the mic, and he hit 3 initials. FTR. Called out FTR. Well, it just so happened that FTR was in the building tonight, so FTR came down to the ring, and Nick Jackson, when they went face-to-face, Nick Jackson just had 2 words. All in. And that was it. And the fans cheered, FTR held their titles up high, and Tony Khan, we were told, has made it official. It will be FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team titles at All In on August 27th against the former champions, Matt and Nick Jackson. It is, as I said before, the biggest possible match, tag team match, for the tag team titles that AEW could put together right now. There's been enough distance since the last match between them, and a lot has happened between then and now, including with FTR's good friend on the other show. So enough time has gone by. FTR is on this just incredible run on Collision right now. The stretch of matches that they have had recently with Bullet Club Gold, MJF and Adam Cole, and even the match they had last week with Brian Cage and Big Bill was a very good match. They are on a tear right now. FTR is by far the greatest tag team in the world today at this moment. Even if the Usos hadn't split up this past week. Right now, at this moment, the best team, it's not the Usos, it's not the New Day, it's not the Young Bucks, it's FTR. The body of work they have put together just recently is incredible. And now they put their tag team titles on the line against the team. Some people might say the Young Bucks are the best team in the world. That's the tagline for this match. It's a battle to determine who the greatest tag team in the world is. That's it. It sells itself. Tag team title match, who's the best team in the world? That's all you have to say. To build up and promote this match, these four guys, they'll handle the rest. Let them go out there. They'll do what they do best. They're going to go out there at Wembley and have a classic. And as somebody who very much enjoys tag team wrestling, especially when we have, two great teams in the ring who work well together, there's just not a doubt in my mind that they're going to go out there, and the potential to steal the show is great. Maybe the greatest with this match here. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But, when I say best tag team in the world right now, again, it's tough to vote against FTR. So we got footage of Hikaru Shida last week on Dynamite winning the AEW Women's Championship from Toni Storm. And we got the announcement. Got the announcement on this show. If there's one thing Tony Khan loves other than battle royals, he loves his tournaments. And that's what we have here. We have a tournament to determine who the women will be challenging for the AEW Women's World Championship at All In at Wembley Stadium. Now, as you can see here from this graphic, Toni Storm has received a bye automatically into the Women's Championship match at the pay-per-view because she's invoked her rematch. She was most recently the world champion, so she automatically gets in. The qualifying matches are going to be Saraya against Sky Blue, which takes place on Rampage this Friday. And then on Dynamite next week, it's going to be Britt Baker against The Bunny. This is just hilariously bad. I mean, just take Britt Baker and Saraya and just throw them in there. What is the point of this? I guess they have TV time to kill. I mean, could you make it any more predictable? They would have been better off just announcing them today and just cutting out all the bullshit in the middle. And just let these four women just start building their match now. Obviously, we know what this match is going to be at All In. Just by looking at this graphic, it's very clear what that match is going to be. I looked at that. I said, look, if you're going to put together a little tournament, at least try to make it interesting. What is that? What is that? Come on. Really? That's the best you can come up with? This should be, these spots in this match should be like gold, right? This is going to be the biggest show in AEW history in front of the biggest crowd in company history. Everybody in the company on that women's roster should be fighting and scratching and clawing for the right to try to qualify for that championship match. And that's the best you can come up with? Is Blue Pants too busy? I don't think Blue Pants is there anymore. No, I don't think so. I don't think Blue Pants is in the company anymore. All right, well, M. Sund in the chat says he thinks the Bunny has a good shot. All right, we'll see. You want to take a bet on that? You want to place bets? So we got footage that aired from last week of Adam Cole talking into the camera, saying that He was going to take MJF out to celebrate the announcement of their big world championship match in the main event at All In. MJF shows up. They're outside somewhere. We don't know where. And MJF says, I know you told me to wear shorts. So, Max was thinking, well, maybe that means we're going to go skinny dipping with some rats. And Cole says, no, we're not doing anything like that. He points out behind them in the background, you can see a trampoline park, an indoor trampoline park. So we cut inside and we see Adam Cole bouncing up and down on the trampoline like he's Dennis Stamp. And he's bouncing up and down. And he's all giddy with excitement, big smile on his face. MJF, he's got this look on his face like he's just appalled by all of this. Until he learns that they've got dodgeball. Because Cole is telling him, oh man, we got trampoline, they got video games, we got an arcade. And he mentions dodgeball. And that gets MJF's attention. So he's like, all right, I like that idea. So then we have MJF with a dodgeball in his hand. And he goes all Billy Madison on the little kids here in this trampoline park. Or he goes all Jeff Jarrett doing leg locks on little kids at a children's karate dojo that one time on Impact. So with each ball that he throws at each of these kids, there's boys, there's girls, he doesn't care. With each dodgeball that he throws, he also makes sure to insult each kid. So one kid, he says, you were adopted. Another one, he tells them, I slept with your mom. Another one, he says that I'm your father. Cole finally shows up and he tells him, what are you doing? You can't do that. I like, by the way, how he showed up after MJF basically just took out 5 kids. So Cole says, no, you can't do that. All of a sudden, a little girl walks up to the two of them and asks them, what are 2 grown men doing at a trampoline park? And then she called them nerds. Cole smiled and told her, you shouldn't talk like that. And they cut back to the girl and she flipped him the bird and turned to go walk away. And at that point, Cole said to MJF, well, maybe you could throw one more ball. And we got the parting shot of MJF throwing that last dodgeball as they cut to black. So this was great. I enjoyed this. Segment. The interplay between the two of them is still the best thing on the entire show. And not only was this great, but so was that Jeff Jarrett segment that I referenced a couple minutes ago. Seriously, if you have no idea what I'm talking about or you've never seen it before, I'm sure it's up on the Impact Wrestling YouTube channel. Go find it. It's like 2 minutes long. It's not even a long video, but if you ever wanted to see Jeff Jarrett in a children's karate dojo, putting them in the various leg submissions and trying to tap them out, that's the video for you. Top 5, maybe top 3 thing all time that Jarrett ever did in his career. Maybe not top 3, top 5. Backstage, Jon Moxley stood with Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, said that he hoped the best friends learned their lesson after what happened in the parking lot brawl on Rampage. I did go back and watch that. It was wild as expected. Of course, Moxley bled. Of course. Claudio asked Pac if he thought that he could screw them over. And he took credit for Pac's injury. Yuta mocked Pac for missing the Wembley Stadium show. For those who don't know, Pac reportedly suffered a legitimate injury. And it's serious enough that he's going to be gone for an extended period of time. We still don't know what the injury is. I don't even know how or when the injury would have happened. Because he was in blood and guts. 2 days later, he was challenging Claudio for the Ring of Honor World title at Death Before Dishonor. And then on Dynamite the following week, he had a match with, oh God, who was it? Was it Gravity? Yeah, there was that match with Gravity. So nothing looked out of the ordinary during that match. There was no big move or spot that he did where it looked like he got hurt or he was limping or he was favoring a body part. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of injury this could possibly be. I don't know if it happened outside the ring. Scorpio Sky just came back. He's gone too. He just got hurt again. A freak accident, apparently. A non-wrestling related freak accident. Scorpio Sky was seen walking around on crutches a couple of weeks ago. He just came back after a year off. So did Pac suffer a freak accident? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I was so glad to have Pac back. I said, man, we're heading into Wembley. You got to get this guy a big match on that show. I was fucking hurt again. I don't get it. So I would love to know what the nature of the injury is. Unless they're really keeping it quiet and they're working the sheets, and it's all just a big work. And he's going to come out at Wembley and have a big moment where he comes out and screws over the Blackpool Combat Club. See, that would be cool. I'd rather see him have a match on the show, but if they were saving it for a surprise run-in, I wouldn't mind that either. But apparently it's a legitimate injury, so I guess we'll have to wait and see as far as what it is. Then it was time for the FTW Championship match to be contested under FTW rules, which means there are no rules. No holds barred, falls count anywhere, with Jack Perry defending the title against Rob Van Dam. 52-year-old Rob Van Dam, looking a hell of a lot better than most people look at the age of 52. I'll give him that. He still looks good. Coming out there again to Pantera, just like he did last week. In the middle of Justin Roberts' introductions in the ring, once both guys were in the ring, Justin started to do the intro for RVD. And Jack Perry interrupted it. He attacked RVD from behind. RVD made a very quick comeback, and Perry then wanted a handshake, and RVD wanted no part of that. So he was about to hit Rolling Thunder. Perry bailed outside. On the floor, RVD, he draped Jack over the barricade. This is an RVD classic. He draped him over the barricade, got up on the apron, and he delivered a spinning leg drop from the apron. He absolutely annihilated this kid with a spinning leg drop with all of his force crashing into Jack Perry. That took us into the commercial break. Taz was losing his mind, marking out for the impact of this move on commentary. After the break, there was a chair that was wedged in the corner between the ropes. There was a table set up outside on the floor. RVD hit a huge monkey flip, hit a running drop kick holding the chair into the corner in Jack's face. Then with the chair on top of Jack, RVD hit Rolling Thunder. Perry, though, was able to avoid the split-legged moonsault. This was the only real blemish, I would say, on this match. This was very awkward because Perry is on the floor. RVD is in the corner. He's setting up for the split-legged moonsault. And what happened, I went back and I watched it. What happened is he went up for the split-legged. As he went up for the split-legged, Perry rolled out of the way. Now, normally, the RVD of old, in one fluid motion, would go up and he would just bounce and hit the move. There were a few times during this match where RVD would go up to the ropes. He would do the leap up to the top rope in one motion, but he was a little tentative. And he didn't either, get his balance right away or took a couple of extra seconds because, look, Father Time is undefeated. Everybody gets older. Everybody gets slower. The body doesn't quite work the same way. So what happened here is he went for the split-legged. Perry rolled out of the way, and RVD, he kind of, not even hesitated, but he took an extra couple of seconds. Instead of just hitting the move, he kind of held himself up there for a few seconds and then hit the move. The problem is Perry had clearly already rolled out of the way, and so he went through with the move anyway, which looked ridiculous. And then he crashed and burned because, of course, there was nobody there. So he ate the canvas. Perry then ducked the Van Daminator, and he chucked the chair right at RVD's head, but he ducked. And the chair hit Bryce Remsburg in the head. He got his arms up in time, but the chair hit the referee in the head. And the chair, I don't think I've ever seen this before. After the chair bounces off of Bryce Remsburg, it ends up stuck on the top rope. Like the chair is open, and it gets stuck on the top rope, and it's just sitting there. Even Taz was mesmerized by this. He goes, I've never seen that before. I've never seen the chair get stuck on the top rope. Perry cut off RVD in the corner as he was going up top, but when he climbed up alongside him, Van Dam pushed him off, and Jack took a header all the way to the floor, crashed through the table down below, the table that had been set up earlier. RVD went outside. He rolled Perry back in the ring. He hit the 5-star frog splash, which I guess I've been spoiled, by looking at all the Montez Ford frog splashes that we get these days. So, the RVD frog splash, it's more like, I would say like a 4.25 star. Let's go 4.25. 4.25 star frog splash to Jack Perry. And he had the visual pin, but the referee was still down, so there was no referee to count. Aubrey Edwards hits the ring. She tries for the 3 count. Perry, though, kicks out at the very last second. RVD, he's arguing the count. He's up in Aubrey's face. He's arguing the count. That allowed Jack to hit a low blow. And he sent RVD forward head first into the chair that was wedged between the turnbuckles. And then Jack schoolboyed RVD, held the tights, and he got the pin. I don't know. And yes, shout out for Dominic Mysterio as well. That's a fair point. Dominic has a pretty good frog splash now too. He learned that from his father. I don't know if this is meant to be a one-off for RVD. I believe it is. He was brought in to be part of this whole FTW storyline. For all we know, they may bring in another ECW original. We may see the Sandman, on TV soon. I don't know. So I don't know what the plan is, if there is any sort of plan for RVD, but he looked good out there. Now, I don't want to see him back on television in the ring on a weekly basis. I don't want to see that, especially, he did this whole documentary a few years ago, was talking pretty openly about the fact that he's had over 100 concussions in his career, and he claims he has CTE. Of course, you can't actually diagnose that unless it's post-mortem, but he's pretty confident he has CTE from all the concussions he's had over the years. So I don't need to see RVD. That, and also, again, he's older now. I don't want to see RVD on television every week. If Tony Khan wanted to bring him back every now and then for a special appearance or to work a trios match or something, that's fine. Because, again, he went out there. He still got it. He still looked good. He can still go. He proved that. But I don't really have any great appetite for him to become some sort of regular, recurring character on the show. I just don't think that's necessary. And even though Jack cheated in this match, it was the right outcome. The match for All In at Wembley should be Jack Perry and Hook, right? That's what they're holding off on, bringing Hook back for a couple more weeks. He'll probably be back on TV. That's the match. That's what this feud is. This is not about Jack Perry against the ECW alumni. It's about Jack Perry doing all he can to fend off Hook and prevent Hook from getting another match. He doesn't want a piece of him. Taz on commentary, he's done a great job of selling this and being upset and being exasperated and look, what I assume this is building to in the next few weeks, and that may be when Hook makes his return. Taz is not going to wrestle a match. Could Taz take a bump? Possibly, yeah. He could take a bump, maybe. I don't know, but this is building. It's got to be building to a face-to-face in-ring segment with Perry and Taz. Taz doesn't have to take a bump. All Taz has to do is talk tough and get in the ring and cut a promo on this kid. And whether Jack lays a finger on him or not, here comes Hook. That's all you got to do. So I assume that's what this is eventually building to, because Taz has been great on commentary selling this so far up to this point. I have to assume it's building to him in the ring, doing an interview segment, and then we'll see the return of Hook. So then it was time for MJF and Adam Cole. We had that wonderful game of dodgeball from last week, but thankfully that was not the only segment with them on this show, which is good because they are the highlight of the show. How could he cheat in a no DQ match? You can still cheat. People look at giving a low blow to somebody is still considered cheating. Right? He's not winning clean. He's not winning the respectable way. So, legal, yes. Legal is different, though. But he certainly didn't win in the honorable way. But yes, you are technically right. FTR or FTW rules are that anything goes. So, look, if that were me, I would have done the same thing. I would have done the exact same thing. I would have given him a low blow. I mean, shit, I would have taken a fucking barbed wire baseball bat and given him a low blow. I would have done far worse. But it was not the honorable way for him to win. So MJF and Adam Cole, they're out to the ring. By the time this segment was over, their workload for Wembley got a lot bigger. Got a lot bigger, which is something I was not expecting coming into the show tonight. MJF said that there was footage of him. Before he gets into anything, he wants everybody to know that there is footage of him saying that everybody in the Midwest is mid because they were in Ohio tonight. So he's got to suck up to the crowds now. He claimed that footage was heavily edited and it was fake. He said that may God strike him down if he wasn't telling the truth when he stands here before us tonight and says that his favorite place in the United States is the Midwest. You know, technically he's not wrong, right? There's a reason why it's called the Midwest. So he's not wrong when he says that, right? Technically, it is mid. So Cole said that he would beat MJF for his championship at All In. MJF said, oh, okay, sounds like you want a promo battle tonight. And Cole says, no, actually, that's not what I want. And MJF continues to begin cutting a promo on Adam Cole. He said that Cole is so skinny and ghostly pale white. Well, I mean, what else? What else would that mean? I wrote pale white, but I mean, that's kind of one and the same. It's kind of fucking redundant. Cole is so skinny and ghostly pale that if this were the 80s, Hogan would have snorted him, which is undoubtedly true. Hogan and all those guys, Savage, Warrior, Hogan, I got news for you. 90% of that locker room in the 80s would have snorted him. By the way, he said this, of all the nights to say this, and to pick on Cole for being pasty white, Cole is standing there. He's practically glowing orange, okay, with the spray tan on his body. He looks like Hogan. He was looking orange and leathery in the ring tonight. He looked anything but pasty white. Cole stopped him at that point. He said, look, I'm not calling for a promo battle. He knows better because he knows he'll lose. MJF said, okay, it was his fault for misreading the situation. Cole said that they're going to make history at Wembley Stadium. But he said that they should go all in as a tag team. And Cole said that it was difficult to come up short a few weeks ago, losing to FTR for the AEW tag team titles. And he's had his eyes on another set of tag team titles. And at that point, he called out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. No, I'm kidding. But how fucking great would that have been, huh? In a different world where these companies work together, Adam Cole and MJF calling out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for All In at Wembley Stadium. In some alternate universe, maybe that would be possible. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now. But he said he had his eyes on another set of tag team titles, that being the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Cole said that he wouldn't be standing in this ring right now were it not for ROH. And he said that the pro wrestling that the fans know and love is all thanks due to Ring of Honor. Cole looked into the camera. He spoke about all of the championships that he won in Ring of Honor, including the World Championship. He said the one title that he never won was the tag team title. And he ran through some of the great teams in Ring of Honor history. Specifically, he singled out the Kings of Wrestling, who I should point out could be a thing again with Chris Hero working behind the scenes. Claudio's on the roster. I'm just saying, if Tony Khan ever wanted to do a Kings of Wrestling reunion, the pieces are there. He can make it happen. So he said the Kings of Wrestling. He also mentioned Red Dragon, of course, his boys. And he mentioned Jay and Mark Briscoe, who got a nice ovation. Cole said they have the 0 hour pre-show, as they do for all of these pay-per-views. They have the 0 hour pre-show ahead of All In. He said that they could become the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions and then head into the main event that night draped in gold. And MJF questioned the idea. He goes, wait a minute, are you saying that you want me to wrestle twice in the same night? He said, what are you, some kind of sick pervert? He said Cole is his brochacho for life, though, and he added, Daddy's a sucker for a cheap pop. He played to the crowd. He asked the crowd, do you want to see him and Cole become the new tag team champions? And they all cheered. So they officially threw the gauntlet out to Aussie Open for a match at All In on the pre-show for the tag team titles. All of a sudden, we hear a voice, a disembodied voice. We hear a voice, we see no body, yelling, Adam, Adam. And then he walks out on stage in his neck brace. It's Roderick Strong. And Strong said, you know, how many weeks ago was it that Samoa Joe, and it wasn't even a major injury angle. I don't even remember exactly what Joe did, but it wasn't anything overly terrible when Joe injured him, and he's been wearing the neck brace ever since. Part of me, actually wouldn't mind it if it was all part of some kind of conspiracy or something, with Joe. Maybe he was in on the whole thing. Maybe Roddy was never hurt to begin with. That's a whole other idea, though. He comes out, he said, I can't believe you. I can't believe that you would stand there and you would talk about wanting to win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles with him, with MJF, and not me. Mr. ROH, which is what people called Roderick Strong for years. He was there for so long. He was Mr. ROH. So MJF spoke up. He said he's sick of Roddy's jealous girlfriend vibe. Told him to go do whatever generic white people do. He told Strong to get in his car, go home, run up the stairs, cry into his Hello Kitty headphones, and listen to Taylor Swift so he can shake it off like a bland bitch. Strong asked if Cole was going to allow MJF to talk to him like that and said, you know what? The Kingdom was right about you. And at that point, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, they walked out on stage and hugged Roddy. MJF said that Cole didn't need him. Cole shoved MJF at that point and said that I don't need you to say that to him because both of you are my friends. So MJF, he had to be calmed down because he didn't take very kindly to being shoved. And it looked like things were going south. And then he said, it's all good, bro. And Cole said, I gotta go talk to him. He says, go ahead. Go talk to your boy. Go do your thing. So Cole left the ring. He ran to the back. MJF looked to the crowd. He said it was cool. Every time he plays this off, every time there's some little disagreement between these two, and they play it off all cool, MJF, it looks like he's going to snap, and then he smiles and says, oh, it's all good, it's all good. Like, they're playing this great. Because everybody, myself included, is expecting him to just finally fucking snap and just kill this guy. But he keeps calming himself down, and they just go on as friends. So, again, it's like, does he ultimately turn on him in the end anyway? Does Cole do the turn? Where does Roddy fall into all this? Now they got Taven and Bennett. I don't really care for them being involved in this, but, I guess technically now they are. So are they going to be part of some new faction that's going to be created out of this? I don't know. There's so many different ways they could possibly take this. But there's a logic gap here. It wouldn't be me if I didn't bring this up and bring up a logic gap. Hey, Sid in the chat says hello. Sid Fishy. What's going on? Here's the logic gap for me. It was never really explained why these two, like, why would Adam Cole suggest that he and MJF go for the tag team titles on the 0 hour pre-show on the night where Adam Cole is about to wrestle the biggest match of his life? He has never ever been in a match this big before, in the main event of a pay-per-view in front of 80,000 plus people. This is the biggest night of his life, challenging for the world championship. Why would he then turn around and say, you know what we need to do? We need to have a match on the pre-show that very same night. It's not like they're getting in the ring with a bunch of pushovers, right? It's going to be probably a long competitive match. It's not going to be some quick 5-minute match. I mean, unless they do some sort of angle where, Roddy gets involved early and it's a DQ. I mean, I guess it's possible, but like, I'm expecting these two teams are going to go in there and they're going to have, 15, 18, 20 minutes maybe to go out there and tear the house down until they shoot whatever angle they're going to shoot at the end of this match. In a kayfabe sense, like, why would Adam Cole logically want to put himself at risk like that on a night where he's challenging for the world championship? Why not have that match on television the week before or next week? And then you can go into the pay-per-view draped in gold. Why do you have to win the gold that night? Like, who would do that? Who would put themselves in that type of jeopardy? Why would you do that? Doesn't make sense. It's dumb. But in a non-kayfabe sense, it's also a risk because you're taking your two men in your main event and you are putting them in another match on the show at the beginning of the show where anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? You could take a wrong step and get hurt. So why take the risk? Why put them in the ring in a match earlier in the show if you don't have to? If it were me, I'd be preserving these two guys to make sure that absolutely nothing happens to them before that main event. If that's the main event of my show. So Tony Khan better hope that nothing happens to either one of these guys. Obviously, whatever goes down in this match is going to directly play into the main event that night. So this match exists. I understand the match exists for a reason. I'm just saying, again, speaking in logical terms, why does it have to happen that night? But obviously, there's going to be some sort of angle that's going to feed into whatever happens later on in the night. I don't see them winning the titles. I thought that when they had their match with FTR a few weeks ago, I thought that Roddy would get involved and either inadvertently or purposely, he would cost them the titles. That didn't happen. They had a clean match. MJF got pinned in the middle of the ring. Now that you've got Roddy, he's out there with Taven and Bennett. I do think one or all of them will play a role in that tag match and may end up costing Cole and MJF the titles. I do see that happening. And that will lead into, again, whatever drama is going to carry us into the main event that night. Tony Khan clearly has some sort of big angle planned. That's why they're doing this match. And I'm digging it. I don't know what it is, but I'm digging it. I'm enjoying this. I just think it's weird to do it on the pre-show in the same night. So at this point in the show, we got a video package. Hey, I just want to send a shout out here to Wink, the Cosmic Grandma, who has been a channel member here for 9 months. You could have popped out a child in that entire time. And Wink is starting nursing school next Monday. Says, listening to the shows, even past shows while I study has been awesome. You're great at what you do. Thank you. Well, Wink, I wish you all the best of luck here in your studies. I'm glad I can keep you company and help you pass the time. Anything I can do. We got a video package recapping Collision from this past Saturday, which a lot of people did not see. Now, the ratings came in for it. I said I wouldn't be surprised if it set the all-time DVR viewership record for any AEW show. I would love to know what the DVR numbers were for Collision this past Saturday, because that show plummeted up against SummerSlam and I think UFC also that night. Well, I guess they also had the Jake Paul fight, but the Jake Paul fight though would have gone on after Collision ended, so I don't really count that. And I don't know if there was a women's soccer match. I'm not really following it all that closely, but there was a lot of competition on Saturday. But they went and they had their big main event. It was CM Punk defending the Real World Championship that he's carrying around against Ricky Starks. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was the special, well, not really the referee. He was the enforcer. But what did I say last week, right? Everyone's had to see this coming, that there would be a ref bump late in the match, and then Steamboat would have to get involved, and he would end up counting the winning fall. And that's exactly what happened. And Steamboat counts the fall. CM Punk wins the match. Ricky Starks tried to use the ropes. He had his feet on the ropes. Steamboat saw it. He pushed the feet off. And in the end, he ends up getting pinned. So when the match was over, Punk is in the ring with Steamboat. Steamboat's presenting the belt to him, and it looks like they're going to have this big happy ending going off the air. When Punk goes to leave the ring, Starks nails Steamboat from behind, knocks Steamboat into Punk. Punk falls to the floor. Steamboat takes a bump, falls down. Starks mounts him and starts raining blows down upon him, pulls off his leather belt, Steamboat's belt, and starts whipping him with it. Now, Steamboat had a shirt on. He had the referee shirt on. It's not like he was not wearing anything, but still, he was laying into him pretty good with those lashes. So, it was a pretty heavy angle. Steamboat took a bit of a beating there until Punk came into the ring with a chair and chased off Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks is now 100% full heel. If you didn't know that after he disrespected Jushin Thunder Liger a few weeks ago after he won the Owen, he beat up Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I mean, I can't think of anything else to get you good heel heat than beating up Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. What I think is cool about the whole thing is Steamboat is the one who came up with the idea to do the angle that they did. They were not going to do that. And it was going to be a situation where it probably would have ended with Steamboat, maybe getting his arm raised, paying respects to the legend. And according to Ricky Starks, it was Steamboat who came to him and said, no, this is what we're going to do. And he proposed the whole thing where he gets attacked and he takes a bump. And you're going to pull my belt off. You're going to whip me with it. You're going to leave me laying. Because in Steamboat's mind, because Steamboat he's old school like this. In Steamboat's mind, it's not about me. This is about you. This is your moment. This isn't about me. I've had my time. This is about getting you over. This is about getting heat on you, not me. And if you can use me as a way to do that, then that's what we're going to do. And I just thought, this guy gets it, right? Because he's old school. He understands. It takes nothing away from Ricky Steamboat, but what it does for Ricky Starks is, holy shit, this guy just beat the fuck out of Steamboat. This guy's a jerk-off. So I thought that was cool. That was actually all Steamboat's idea. So not only did they do the title match in the Steamboat angle on Saturday, but I was wondering, what would the CM Punk match be at All In? Would they run back Punk and Starks? Would they do maybe Punk and Jay White? I'd rather they take their time building that for another show. But it looked like maybe that was a possibility. Maybe they would do CM Punk and FTR in a trios match against the Elite. That was unlikely, I know. But we got an even better announcement. Samoa Joe got on the mic and said, the king of television, the king has no match. He's got no dance partner. He's got nobody to play with at All In. And he said, you and me, Punk. This last match that we just had, ending in a roll-up, that's not how our legacy needs to go. Our legacy can't end with a roll-up. So he threw down the challenge. It hasn't been made official yet, but that looks to be the match for All In. It's going to be Samoa Joe and CM Punk. And that's the fucking match that I was hoping they would do when Punk first came back. We knew he was coming back. I said, I hope they do Punk and Joe. And they did Punk and Joe, kind of. It wasn't really, meant to be a long program or anything. They were in a 6-man tag together. They had a match in the Owen together. But now they get a proper blow-off to this feud in front of 80,000 people. Samoa Joe against CM Punk. All these years after they started their feud in Ring of Honor, probably in a building in front of maybe 1,000 people. And back then, it probably wasn't even that much. What was the crowd for the first CM Punk Samoa Joe match? Was it even 1,000? Maybe it was 500. To go from that all these years later, and they're going to be able to blow it off in front of a big crowd like this, that's pretty fucking cool. So anyway, that all went down on Collision this past Saturday. We had Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli as tag team partners representing the Blackpool Combat Club against the Lucha Bros. Penta and Rey Fenix. Phoenix and Penta, they snuck up from behind. They wiped out Moxley and Claudio with double dives right from the opening bell. Penta delivered a top rope double stomp to Claudio. Moxley got flattened by another Rey Fenix dive. And of course, 2 minutes into the match, Moxley comes up and he's bleeding. He's got a cut on the side of his head and he's bleeding, because of course he is. Back from the break, Phoenix was planted with a spike pile driver. Taz chimed in on commentary and said, that spike pile driver is the move that broke my neck. I think that was back in 95, I believe. Late in the match, right in front of the referee, Wheeler Yuta grabs Phoenix on the top rope. And Alex Abrahantes, he starts going at it with him. Yuta ends up getting taken out with a moonsault on the floor. Meanwhile, in the ring, as Penta is trying for Fear Factor, he's got his back turned. Claudio sneaks up behind him and he rips his mask off. Pulls the mask right off his head. And Penta immediately grabs his face to cover up. Jon Moxley rolls him up with the tights to win the match. The camera was focused on Yuta taking the moonsault on the floor when the mask spot happened. So we didn't see that spot live, which was the most important spot of the match because it fed directly into the finish of the match. So to the live viewer on television, it just looked like Penta got rolled up. They did show a replay after, so we saw the mask getting ripped off of his head. And the Blackpool Combat Club, after the match, they kept attacking. Claudio ended up wearing Penta's mask, which was kind of funny. There was some good stuff in here, but the ending I didn't like. Ending 2 matches, which is what they did. Now, there were a couple of talking segments in between, but they did back-to-back matches with the exact same finish. We had Jack Perry giving a low blow to RVD, rolling him up, right, with the schoolboy, and holding the tights to get the win. The very next match, Jon Moxley rolls up Penta, hooks the tights, gets the win. There's got to be some quality control there. You can't do that finish in back-to-back matches like that. That's ridiculous. So I didn't like that. And also, is Penta, I'm trying to think if I can think of any other luchador or a masked wrestler who has lost as many matches as Penta has for having his mask ripped off. This has happened several times now with him. And so he's very protective, obviously, of tradition. He's going to cover up his face. But I feel like with Penta, this has happened numerous times already. He's going to have to either put a second mask on underneath, or he's going to have to maybe, duct tape it to his fucking neck or something. I don't know. He's going to come up with some solution to this. The Blackpool Combat Club, they get the win here. They lost in Blood and Guts, right? And after Blood and Guts, since that big loss, they got a win in the parking lot brawl on Rampage last week. They got a win here tonight over the Lucha Bros, so they got some of their momentum back. Now we turn to All In. What are they going to do? Well, Eddie Kingston's trip to Japan did not yield him a G1 victory, although it did yield him a lot of really cool shit. It's been actually very cool. One of the best stories in wrestling, honestly, to follow this journey that Kingston has been on since he went over to Japan. This guy has been living his best life. He is living the dream. He got to go to Japan. He got to meet his hero in Toshiaki Kawada. He got to work his first G1. He got to work his first show at Korakuen Hall. He got his Ribera jacket from Ribera Steakhouse. This guy, he won the New Japan Openweight, right? Strong Openweight Championship. This guy, since the beginning of July, for a month now, has been on cloud 9. And now his G1 climax has come to an end, which means he's on his way back to the United States. And so I look ahead to All In, and what it's looking like to me is we may get a tag match with Moxley and Claudio against Eddie Kingston and Orange Cassidy. Because Moxley and Cassidy have been kind of feuding of late. I think that may be where they're going. I would love to see Kingston one-on-one against Claudio. But I think they're going to want to save that probably either for All Out or a Ring of Honor show. They should do it at All Out. Don't do it on a Ring of Honor show. Do it at All Out. Give it the biggest possible audience. But I think they're going to go for that. I think they may go for that tag match at All In. We'll see. To the back, Kenny Omega was walking through the hallway. Alex Marvez went up for an interview. And he talked about the Young Bucks challenging FTR for the tag team titles at All In. Omega said that next week he's going to be sitting down with Jim Ross to discuss his future. He's going to be talking about Don Callis. He's going to be talking about Konosuke Takeshita and his plans for All In. And he went to go leave. And Marvez is like, "Can you give me the scoop?" And as most people probably have done in their lives, he ignored Alex Marvez. So there was no scoop. We had the entire Mogul Embassy making their way out to the ring for a promo segment, including Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. We had Swerve out there talking about how he and Fox and Prince Nana went to the Buddy Wayne Wrestling Academy / garage last week to prove a point, to send a message. That's why they went there. He goes, everybody knows whose house it is, and everybody in the crowd said Swerve's house. AR Fox called out Darby Allin, who came out, and he demanded that Fox tell the entire story about how Darby tried to help him many years ago. Tried to help him when he needed it. Fox got to AEW by himself, he said, but he is upset that Darby didn't put a word in for him. But he did for Nick Wayne. Darby said that Fox might have some new friends of his own, but he too has friends. And that's when the lights went out in the arena. When they came back on, we saw Sting standing in the middle of the ring. Hey, he got his mouth fixed. Last time we saw Sting, he took that horrendous bump off the ladder and hit the edge of his fucking face on that table. We haven't seen him since. So I'm sure he's been to the plastic surgeon. He's been seeing his doctors. Things looking good. He's all repaired. He's all fixed up. He's back in business. I'd like to say that he won't do anything stupid like that again, but you know fucking full well that they're going to go to Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 people. And all I'm wondering is, what is Sting going to fly off of when they get to All In? Because there's no way he's going onto a show as big as that, in a building as big as that, and not doing something stupid. So pray for Sting. Let's get the prayer emojis in the chat. Pray for Sting. The prayer emoji and the baseball bat emoji, side by side. Do they have a scorpion emoji? They might have a scorpion emoji. Put that one in there too. So Sting is standing in the middle of the ring. He's got his baseball bat with him, and he leveled the gates of agony with it. He hit Brian Cage in the gut with the ball bat. AR Fox, he left. He bailed into the crowd. So Sting was left in the ring alone with Swerve Strickland. And he had the bat pressed up against his face. And then Sting looked up, because in all the arenas, they have that banner hanging. Maybe it's not a banner. Maybe it's on a screen. I think that's what it is. It's a graphic on a screen that's up in the arena. But it's an advertisement for All In. It says AEW All In Wembley Stadium. And Sting takes his baseball bat and he points up at the All In advertisement to tease a match for the show, which has since been confirmed. It will be a tag team match. It's going to be Sting and Darby Allin against Swerve Strickland and AR Fox in a tag team coffin match. That has now been made official by Tony Khan for All In. Oh, so we do have a scorpion emoji. I wasn't sure about that. Who is Swerve's partner going to be? They already said his partner is going to be AR Fox. It's not really rocket science. It's Swerve and AR Fox against Sting and Darby Allin. That's the match. So then it was time for the main event. Hikaru Shida defending her newly won AEW Women's World Championship against Anna Jay, who had Matt Menard and Angelo Parker in her corner. I don't know how Anna Jay ended up with a World Championship match in the main event on this show, other than Tony Khan was obviously impacted, shall we say, by the sign that got on camera a few weeks ago and all the criticism that's been lobbed, a lot of it rightfully so, at him as far as his booking and handling of the women's division in AEW. And so to kind of throw it back in people's faces, he's like, well, okay, I'll show you. We'll just put the women in the main event every week and then people can't talk. Except that's not really how this works, right? You can put any match in the main event. It's great that the women, Hikaru Shida now 2 weeks in a row in a main event on Dynamite. I thought the match with Toni Storm last week was very good. Tonight, not so much. Because Anna Jay, she's not at that experience level yet. She doesn't have the experience of a Toni Storm. She doesn't have the experience of a Shida. She's come a long way from where she was at the very beginning. But she's still got a ways to go. And not only that, not only as far as her level of experience relative to some of these other women, they have done nothing to indicate to anybody that this woman should be challenging for the world championship right now. That's why I posed the question. Why is Anna Jay in this match when we've had women challenging for the championship who have at least been built up on television, even on Rampage? Shida, before she got the match with Toni Storm, won 3 or 4 matches in a row on Rampage. I went back and looked. Anna Jay won 1 match recently on Rampage. She beat Sky Blue. You would think that she's had some kind of win streak going. No. So why is Anna Jay challenging in the main event for the World Championship on this show, other than just Tony Khan saying, all right, you want me to book the women's division better? We'll take this woman, we'll put them in the main event, and that way people can shut up. That doesn't fix the problem, though. That doesn't fix the problem with the booking. If you want to get behind Anna Jay, give people a reason to look at Anna Jay as somebody who should be challenging for the championship. Build her up in some way. I don't know that she's the right person for that spot. She's not the one that I would go with. There's plenty of other women on the roster who I would push before her as far as a big championship match goes. This did not feel like a main event because it was just thrown out there. When I saw that this was headlining the show tonight, I was shocked. I thought they were going to headline with, they could have headlined with the Hardys match. Not that I think the Hardys should be in the main event either. But they had other matches on the show that would have made more sense to be in this spot. If you want to put Shida in the main event, put her in there with somebody who they've built up, who's earned the right to be in that spot, and can go out there and hang with her and have a main event caliber match. Anna Jay is not that person. So if that's what's going through his head, and that's what Tony is thinking and doing this, and I don't mind the spotlight being put on Shida. I think Shida is great. I think Shida's great. I think she's awesome. But you've got to give some consideration to who the other person is going to be. This is just lazy. You're just putting a match out there for the sake of putting it out. So, of course, it was out there cold. Nobody really cared. Nobody was really reacting to it. And then on top of that, we had the wonky finish. So, here in this match, and by the way, the commercial in the middle of this fucking match, which only started 10 minutes before the show went off the air, they threw a commercial in there. That didn't help either. After the break, Anna rolled to the apron, and Shida tried to suplex her back inside. Anna hit a spin kick instead. Both women fought out on the apron. Shida hit a pump kick before pulling a chair out from under the ring. And Shida opened the chair outside. She set the chair up. She was going to, get a running start and then launch herself off. As she went to go launch herself off the chair, we had Angelo Parker jump in front of her to put a stop to that. So he ran distraction. That allowed Anna to smash Shida face first into the ring steps. Now back inside, Anna applied the Queen Slayer sleeper. Shida, though, with Anna on her back, slowly climbed up the rope. She climbed up. She made it as far as the middle rope, and then she fell backwards to break the hold. This confused the announcers. Excalibur couldn't understand what just happened. Did she go out and she fell? No, she fell backwards on purpose because she was trying to break the hold. I was kind of surprised he seemed confused by what she was doing there. Shida then hit a Falcon Arrow, but Anna Jay kicked out. And Shida hit the Katana knee strike, which didn't look great, but she connected with it. She covered Anna. Parker reached into the ring to try to either just break up the fall, or at first I thought he was trying to hand something to Anna, whether it was his stupid comb or a pair of brass knucks. I wasn't sure exactly what he was trying to do, honestly. Whatever it was, though, he made contact. He grabbed her hand, he reached in, he touched her. And Paul Turner is the referee. He didn't miss a beat. He just kept counting. And Paul Turner counts 3. And Hikaru Shida retains her championship. Technically, though, Parker made contact with her. And so I'm not sure why that wasn't a break in the count. That didn't really make any sense. And you can see some people in the crowd were a little caught off guard by that finish as well. So it just made for a very awkward finish to a very average at best match here in this main event. Now, we knew Shida was going to obviously win. And she's going to be part of that fatal 4-way now at Wembley defending her title. But a very disappointing main event. When people say they want Tony Khan to book the women better, this is not what they had in mind. Giving them the main event spot, giving them more television time is great, but there's got to be a reason for it. It's not just enough to just throw them out there in a random match and say, oh, see what I'm doing? That's what this felt like. That was the vibe I got from what they did here in this main event. So anyway, overall, the MJF and the Cole stuff is what I enjoyed the most on this show. I like the RVD match. I thought that was good. The Lucha Bros match, the Hardys match, I thought they were fine, but nothing special. The Swerve segment set up the coffin match for All In. Main event was disappointing. And, overall, I thought the show was fine, but it was not one of the better episodes that Tony Khan has produced in these last several weeks. There have been far better episodes of Dynamite, but there was nothing terrible. Again, I thought the main event was disappointing, but there was nothing terrible about the show. It just wasn't all that interesting outside of those few things I just highlighted. Now, Rampage is coming up on Friday. We have Saraya against Sky Blue with the winner advancing to All In. I don't know. I wonder who's going to win that match. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's kind of tough. I can't pick. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Saraya going to the UK to challenge for the championship, or is it going to be Sky Blue? I don't know. Darby Allin takes on Brian Cage. Orange Cassidy defends the international title against Johnny TV. I already forgot he was even hired. I already forgot that he was even in the company. But yes, John Morrison, Johnny TV, is he's going to be challenging for the international title. Collision on Saturday, which is the number one AEW show on television. Collision, I gotta say, Collision, it really does just blow Dynamite out of the water. It really does. The A show for AEW is on Saturday nights. And this Saturday, it's going to be the House of Black defending their trios titles against CM Punk and FTR. I should take this moment, by the way, to break some of your hearts. And also wish a congratulations to Buddy Matthews, who proposed to Rhea Ripley, who accepted. And so Buddy and Rhea are officially engaged to be married. See, Buddy Matthews was so pissed off and upset by everybody heckling him and bullying him about this Dom stuff. He started to believe, they say you worked yourself into a shoot. He was like, I better put a ring on this girl's finger before I lose her to Dirty Dom. So he went, and all is well. She said yes, and so congrats. Congrats to the happy couple. There you go. Everybody can cry into their pillows tonight, as if you had a chance. As if you ever had a chance. The Acclaimed will be in action on Saturday, and Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale are going to take on Mercedes Martinez and Diamante. And then next week on Dynamite, shout out to Jason Leslie for being a Sound Off superstar. Jason will not be on Dynamite. On Dynamite next week, Britt Baker against the Bunny. Man, that's even harder to pick. I thought Saraya and Sky Blue was tough to pick. Guys, I have no idea. I don't know. What's going to happen? Britt Baker and the Bunny. I don't know, man. It's tough to call. Jim Ross is going to sit down with Kenny Omega. MJF and Adam Cole are going to talk about the main event of All In. And Darby Allin tags with Nick Wayne to take on the Gates of Agony from Ring of Honor. So there you go. Those are your lineups for the shows coming up Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday of next week. 70% of you have given Dynamite tonight a thumbs up. I'll tell you, that's higher than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be somewhere in the 60s. I thought it would be somewhere closer down to like 60 to 65. So 70% up and about 30% thumbs down at Solomonster on Twitter. You see that X logo? It's Twitter. You can call it whatever you want. I still call it Twitter. There you go. There you go. The bunny has a chance. Sure. Sure she does. That'd be a bigger upset than the 1-2-3 kid beating Razor Ramon if the Bunny actually beats Britt Baker and goes to All In to challenge for the championship. Bigger than Barry Horowitz beating Skip on Superstars. We're still about 50 likes away from Be the Booker. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know, guys. Looks like we're going to fall short unless there's a kick out at 2.5. We'll see. Lady Fire Panda with the $21 Super Chats. Is sending that Super Chat in before the stream. And of course, as Lady Fire Panda is very perceptive. Calls me an AEW mark, says, stop being a mark, you e-drone. Of course. I'm trying. But apparently I keep failing. The Winston Slip. Buy or sell. Hardys against Rockers or Dudleys against Demolition? Oh, man. I would go Hardys and Rockers. Dr. Scorpio. I am the Senate brother if Hogan in Star Wars. I've not seen Star Wars, so okay. Ed Swoggle going into Friday SmackDown. If Jimmy is the Nikki of their feud and tells Jay he hoped he died in the womb, will you be ready for J mode? No, I don't think I would be. Of all the feuds for them to take the lead from, that's not the one I would look to. Naughty Delicious Chicken with Flavor. Maybe Collision can give the women more time, angles, and storylines. Dynamite and Rampage, I have my doubts. So this chicken here challenges Tony Khan and the women's locker room to prove the naysayers wrong. Also, AEW women's locker room had every right to defend each other, but at the end of the day, this whole rally cry is only temporary. Once the noise dies down, AEW will go back to the same booking routine with the women. Well, you're 100% right about that. He can give them all the main events right now that he wants to, but you know damn well, 3 months from now, ain't gonna be getting no main events. That's what I mean. Actual, real, meaningful change is more important than just window dressing. You either want to or you don't. Very simple. This is exactly what he just said. This right here is just temporary, unless he's serious about wanting to make changes and start focusing. Take 5 women that you really want to get behind and start really pushing them. And I could say the same thing, by the way, to Triple H. He already has his core 5, right? Charlotte, Bianca, and Becky. Ronda's gone now, but you could throw somebody else in there, and then everybody else, gets the table scraps. Pick 3 or 4 other women who usually don't get the time devoted to them that the other women do, and start putting plans in place to try to push them and try to develop them more and develop more of their characters on television. And maybe people will care about 1 or 2 of them. They're not going to care about all of them, but even if you just get 1 or 2 that get over, right, that's better than nothing. And now you've made a new star, right? It doesn't seem that hard. I understand television time is a premium and there isn't always enough time for everybody, but you got to start somewhere. Naughty also says, after hearing everybody's opinion on the Lufisto topic and the AEW women's division in general, I made up my mind. Yeah, by the way, if you missed it, the entire segment where I talked about that from the podcast this weekend, it is now up on the YouTube channel. It's gotten some good feedback and comments in the comments section, so go check that out if you didn't see it. Oz and Glorious says, RVD was the highlight tonight for me. I really hope Jay White and the Bullet Club Gold Boys get a big program for All In and All. Yeah, I don't know what they'll be doing at All In. I don't know. Punk's already going to be accounted for. Andrade, if he gets his wish, he'll have a match with Malachi Black. So I don't know what they're going to do with Jay White and Juice. Nick Grosso, I don't know if you saw Dark Side of the Ring with Marty Jannetty yet. After watching that episode last night, I still don't know what the fuck I watched. I did watch it. I watched it this morning. And I'll have a lot to say about that on the podcast this Sunday. It's going to be the final Dark Side of the Ring review for the season. The season's over. The season is over. Where did the season go? So I get a reprieve now. All these 2 and 2.5 hour sound offs now become 90 minutes. We'll just have to flesh out the mailbag and answer more of your questions. Nick Grosso also says, if the JAS is over, can put Anna Jay with Jack Perry, please. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see the 2 of them paired up. Jericho next gives his answer. I think he says no, and the rest of the JAS turn on him and join Don Callis except Sammy Guevara. So basically, you're just trading one name for another. You're turning the JAS minus one or two people into the Don Callis family. And you're automatically watering down the Don Callis family from day one. I don't think that's very wise. It would be an interesting little swerve, but I just don't see how that really benefits Don Callis. I think that just waters him down more than anything else. As a swerve, though, yeah, I mean, it would be an interesting swerve, I guess. Dr. Scorpio. Bro, I just learned a terrible truth, bro. Bro, Palpatine is the evil lord we've been looking for, bro. Bro, he knows the way, the Force, bro. Bro, do you realize in the wrestling business... Bro, I don't even like wrestling, bro. I gotta tell you, dude, bro, I don't even like wrestling. There are no good people in the wrestling business, bro. I should know because I was in the wrestling business. I'm sorry. Sometimes I lapse into it. I don't even realize it. It's like a trance. I gotta snap out of it. Joseph Brooks. Buy, rent, sell on who you think was the most popular and your personal favorite mid-card act of the Attitude Era. Val Venus, The Godfather, or Al Snow. For me, it was Al Snow with Head. So he would be the one that I would buy on. I would rent The Godfather, and I would sell on Val Venus. Chris Miner. With the $9.99, favorite time when a game show involves wrestlers as contestants. Mine is Silent Library with JTG, Ziggler, Trent, Chris Masters, Kurt Hawkins, and Kalen Croft. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I saw that many years ago. I always enjoyed the Family Feud appearances. I'm going back even to the early 90s when they had the Ray Combs edition. And they had Bobby Heenan and Shawn Michaels, and I think Jim Duggan maybe and Big Boss Man and the Nasty Boys and Jimmy Hart, and they just had them on the Steve Harvey edition last weekend. They still have some of the wrestlers on Family Feud even today. So I would go with that. I always enjoyed Family Feud. Bobbert Reviews with that $40 super chat from earlier. Bobbert, thank you, man. That is very nice of you. Hey, Solomonster, for a while, I've been exercising while listening to your show and started from 200 pounds and now down to 150. That's worthy of the yes chant right there. Look at this, Solomonster. I do it all, man. Not only am I a podcaster, not only am I a YouTuber, not only am I a wrestling prognosticator and a PR vice president and a commissioner and a commentator, I'm also a personal trainer. Is there anything I don't do? This is awesome. Look at this. He says, I just want to thank you for always making a great show to help me go the extra mile in my work. Bobbert, that is awesome. I'm very happy for you. I don't know if you've set a goal, if you have like a goal weight. But actually, you probably shouldn't go much lower than 150. That's probably low enough. I mean, how much lower can you go, right? So I think you've hit your goal already, but that's very cool. I'm glad I can be of even some small help. See? DDPY ain't got nothing on this Solomonster program. That's what you gotta invest in. Joseph Brooks. Solo, I love your show. Been a fan since 2013. So I just wanted to play a lyric game with you. Finish the line. Here comes the axe. Here comes the smash. We're talking about the Demolition. Walking Disasters. Pain and Destruction. It's their middle name. Face Beerus, God of Seduction. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Words to live by. Chris AXC, inevitably somebody else is going to make the AEW to WWE jump. Excluding Pillman Jr., who do you predict is the one? I don't know when Wardlow's contract is up, but if I were him, I'd be looking for the exit door. Wardlow or Hobbs? I think both of them would do well. I think both of them would excel, I think, in WWE. But a lot of it honestly just comes down to contract expiration dates. Tony Khan's been trying to lock down a lot of people to long-term deals. Moxley, Jericho, the Elite. MJF, I don't think is going anywhere. I think he's already re-signed, honestly. So yeah, I come back to Wardlow and Hobbs are the most likely. Joseph Brooks, Solo, Izzy is making her wrestling debut. I did see that. Izzy the Wonder Girl, Izzy the super fan, who blocked me on Twitter years ago. Was it something I said? I don't know, but Izzy has officially made her debut. And look, I pitched the angle years ago during one of my NXT reviews. This is probably going back 5 or 6 years now. Maybe longer. Maybe, God, it's probably like 7 years, 7 or 8 years. But I said it then. I said one day, this girl is going to grow up. She's going to train to be a wrestler. And she is going to debut. And she is going to beat the living crap out of Bayley. And I know Bayley has gotten away from the pigtails and the whole gimmick and everything, but there is a story to be told. I don't know if Izzy's going to be any good or not. Obviously, she's been acting here from a very young age. Maybe she'll excel at it. I wish her the best. I always said one day she's going to grow up and she's going to beat the crap out of Bayley. It's got to be like one of those, like the Boss Man Nails angle that they did back in '92, where she just, not with a nightstick necessarily, but she just shows up randomly one day in like a really hardcore beatdown. Got to finish the story. Come on, Izzy. Izzy has to finish the story. Naughty Delicious says, I love the Judgment Day purple lighting in the background. Yeah, I figured we would go purple tonight. See? It is very Judgment Day-esque. Thank you for noticing. You know, we got red for Raw. We got blue for SmackDown. And then I'm always wondering, like, for Dynamite, sometimes I do red, sometimes I do blue. I'm like, because that's the whole color scheme for the show now is red and blue. I'm like, well, what do you do? You already got the red and the blue, right? Green doesn't really work. But I like that. I like that color. Boots. I thought Anna Jay was going to drop the hammer on Jericho, have the guys attack him, and take control of the JAS. Also, do you think we'll see Athena at All In? It doesn't look like it. I would love to see her at All In. I would love to see her on the AEW roster. Working with Statlander or working with Shida at some point. That's what I want to see. But as long as she has that Ring of Honor Women's Championship, I don't think that's going to happen. Wink the Cosmic Grandma. Thank you for the $9.99. Anyone else see Death? Death is behind me. Did I look? Is that Death? Fuck off, Death. Not yet. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Hey, Wink, thank you for the $9.99. The comedic genius, Rhea fans are crying into their tissues tonight. Yeah, their tissues or their socks. Either one. Dr. Scorpio, bro. Say bro again, bro. Look at this. It's Broverload. Oh, that's Russo in Pulp Fiction. Say what again? I dare you, bro. So fucking annoying. I've lived in New York my entire life. And I know people that have that accent. I don't know anybody who talks the way he does. I don't know how anybody can listen to that for longer than 5 fucking minutes. I just don't. I don't understand. I just don't. Dr. Scorpio, look at this. He sent the same thing 3 times here. 4 times. 5 times. Was that a mistake? Sucks for you. Great for me. Dr. Scorpio, though, you know what? Dr. Scorpio is worthy of the SJ. Just for throwing all that support my way. It's the least I can do. That's right. He's like Booker T. 5-time. 5-time, 5-time, 5-time. EJ Slamp, would a Wardlow heel turn help him gain some much-needed momentum?
It's the amazing Gunther.
Momentum.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther. All hail. It has been some time since he has made an appearance, but the mighty Gunther is with us tonight. So saith, who was that? The Rock versus Sting. All hail.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for that $50 super chat. That makes him the king of the night, and he just edges out Bobbert just by a little bit. Bobbert dropped that 40 before. And we got the Gunther emojis in the chat. Love to see it. But EJ was saying, would a Wardlow heel turn help him gain some much-needed momentum, or has the damage been done? Oh, the damage has been done. It doesn't mean that he can't recover from it. You know, it's not even a matter of heel turn, babyface turn. Like, you could turn him heel. What difference does it make if you don't have a solid plan for him to be on television every single week? Doesn't matter whether he's a heel or face. They don't do anything with it. And I understood him not being in Canada if he had his passport stolen. That sucks. Well, they've been back from Canada now for a few weeks. And here, you know, I was thinking a few months ago they were going to be setting up a big match for him at Wembley Stadium. Right now, he's not even going to have a fucking match. I'm not surprised when he gave that interview and talks about how he's been depressed. I'd be depressed too if I was sitting on my ass at home doing nothing, watching everybody else get opportunities when I was supposed to be the chosen one. I was supposed to be the one with the rocket strapped to my back. I was the one who annihilated MJF with 10 power bombs a year ago, and now MJF is walking around the world champion, and I can't get television time to save my fucking life. I'd be depressed too. So it's beyond turn him heel, turn him babyface. Like, they don't do anything with it. There has not been a bigger fall from grace in this company than Wardlow. We have got Dr. Scorpion says, are you serious, bro? Look at this. Look at this wall of text that I am not going to repeat, but you can see what it is. I think Dr. Scorpio has had some sort of malfunction, like Johnny Five or something from Short Circuit. He has short-circuited here. It's the same bro super chat over and over again. If I had to listen to that, by the way, as many times as he's sending it, I would jump off the roof. Dan Richards, has AEW handled any big man well? I think not. No, not really. Not really. I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of big man. Big Bill is a big, tall guy. But I also look at like a Powerhouse Hobbs. He's pretty big, physically, compared to a lot of the other people on the roster. No, I don't see how you can be overly impressed by anything they've done with him. Wardlow, again, he's not really big. Like, he's not tall. But you look at him and just his physical presence, right? He's a bigger guy than a lot of people on that roster. And I just talked about what they've done with him, so that certainly, hasn't been very impressive. What other big man have they pushed? Satnam Singh is just in the background whenever he shows up. No. Keith Lee. I don't see how anybody can be. If you're a huge Keith Lee fan, are you happy with the way Keith Lee has been utilized on AEW television? Are you satisfied? Do you think that he's been better off in AEW than he was in WWE? I actually think he is. I won't go that far as to say, boy, he was better off in WWE. But can you really be happy with the way that he's been utilized on AEW television? I don't think I could say that. And Miro, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, I can't complain about that. Samoa Joe's been pretty fucking badass. We have got Dr. Scorpio yet again. Boy, I'm realizing that Pulp Fiction is his favorite movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie quoted as much as I have by him. So we all know what his favorite movie is. Brandon Proctor, thank you for the $2. There's EJ with the Quad Squad. Here it is. The Rock versus Sting, thank you for the $50. He said, can Darby Allin finish the story in 2025? I guess him being an AEW World Heavyweight Champion. By 2025, if he survives Mount Everest next year, then yes. If he doesn't, then no. But I do see him being AEW World Champion. I think by 2025 is reasonable to think that by then he would be champion, at least once. By the way, I could see why Cody absolutely despises that phrase now, the whole finish the story thing. He talked about that over, I think it was an interview he did before SummerSlam. He goes, I regret ever saying that. He's grown to hate it so much because it's turned into a meme where everybody has to finish the story. Naughty Delicious says, if I had the powers of shape-shifting like Shang Tsung, I would lock Tony Khan up in his office and take control of the show. Juan Ocampo. Lighting 4 of the Tony Khan Outlaw. I don't know what that means. Thank you for the $2. Dr. Scorpio, last night. Oh my God, a different super chat. Last night, my ex caught on tweeting on her. Your syntax and grammar in these super chats is absolutely maddening. Last night, my ex caught on tweeting on her. What? Those was a glitch. Donos was mistake, but you earned it though. Thank you for the content. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. I'm gonna have to do a welfare check on this guy. Thank you, though. It was a glitch, but I'm grateful for the support nonetheless. No, I thought I was trying to read. I'm not the only one, right? I was trying to read his super chat, and I thought I was having a stroke. Naughty Delicious says a New Japan Wardlow. What are your thoughts? New Japan Wardlow. Well, if there's one thing New Japan does like, they like their big guys over there. They were giving Bronson Reed a pretty big push, right? He got a big win over Okada. They were pushing him, the big monster Gaijin push. And then he chose to go to WWE. And I don't blame him for that. If Wardlow were to go over there, I think Wardlow would actually excel. I do. I think Wardlow would do very well. And EJ Slem with the $4.99. After watching both documentaries on Cody and Jannetty, it really made me think Legacy are the modern day Rockers. But Ted Jr. had even less success. Well, if there's one thing that Ted Jr. and Marty Jannetty may have in common soon, it's the fact that both of them might soon be able to say that they have been locked up before, behind bars. It's not looking good for Ted Jr. I think Ted Jr. is going to end up in the slammer. Not looking good for him at all. The goal for Be the Booker tonight was 400 likes. We are now at 414. So you guys coming through in the clutch. Very cool. Thank you very much. Always good to see everybody coming together to hit our goals. You set a goal in life. You want to make sure you achieve those goals. Yeah, again, I'm going to be talking about the Marty Jannetty episode on Sunday. I'll have my usual full Dark Side of the Ring review. It will not be one to be missed. As with most of these, they're limited in how much time they have to devote to all angles and all stories and stuff. So there were a few things that were not covered in the episode that I will be sure to cover on Sunday. All right, let's be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Base Beerus with a 420 super chat coming in. Says Sting is going to coffin drop off a ladder at Wembley. They may be shipping Sting back to the States in a body bag if that's the case. I hope that doesn't happen. Call Sting and say, hey, call Sting's poor wife. Where do we send the remains? You want them FedEx? Do you want them UPS? What's the other one? DHL. All right, let's start with the men. Men's Be the Booker. We begin with Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. There he is. Cactus Jack. The WWF days there when Cactus Jack came in 97. He started using the Cactus Jack persona for the first time on WWE television. Cactus Jack and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels and Mankind, once upon a time, had a tremendous match. That was when Foley said he was at his physical peak. In the fall of 1996, Shawn Michaels against Cactus Jack would have been just as good. That's a main event match on any card. Let's see if we can do a better job. Here's the question I pose to you. Will I be able to book a better women's match here right now than Tony Khan did for Dynamite tonight? What do you think? Let's see. We begin. Well, I just answered my own question. So much for that. Stephanie McMahon is on our screen. Oh, but wait. Stephanie is not in her wrestling attire, which means that this is the authority version of Stephanie McMahon, which means she's only there to announce the match. So we will pretend that didn't happen, and we will pick two fresh women, because Stephanie is merely the authority figure. So let's try that again. Take two. We begin with Ty Mello. Ty Mello. Okay, well, all right. Ty Mello. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second, though. We can't go with Ty Mello. She's pregnant. Another pregnant woman. Didn't we just go through this last week? I landed on, I think, 2 or 3 different pregnant women. All right, well, we can't go with her. Who is not pregnant at this point? All right, we'll start. Okay, finally, here we go. Becky Lynch. Becky Two Belts. There she is. We begin with Becky Lynch, since Ty Mello is on maternity leave. Becky Lynch against... you know what? The hell with this. I tried 3 fucking different times here. I said, at some point, we're going to book a main event match. We land on Becky Lynch, one of the first women to headline WrestleMania. I said, all right, we're on the right track. And it just all went to hell. So, the hell with this. The hell with this. The answer to the question, by the way, is no. Solomonster cannot book a better match than Tony Khan. So we move on to the tag teams. We begin with the Hollywood Blondes. Stunning Steve Austin and Brian Pillman. There they are. Look at those smiling faces, everybody. Do those scream baby faces, even though they were heels? Are those baby faces or are those baby faces? The Hollywood Blondes against Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. Hey, you know what? Just to get Hogan in the ring with a young Steve Austin is worth it. You wanted a marquee match? There's a marquee match. That'll sell some pay-per-views. Hollywood Hogan at his NWO peak against the Hollywood Blondes. I'll take it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as the song says. Got some more super chats here to go through. Be calm, see clearly. Thank you for the $2. My Diamondbacks, Lord help them, please. Well, whatever's going on tonight with the Diamondbacks, they can't be more of an embarrassment than the Baltimore Orioles ownership was this week. So, at least you know that you can take solace in that. Naughty Delicious says, hopefully we get to be the booker Vince Russo against Suzuki. I'm still waiting to land on Russo and Cornette. I think the stream might explode if that happens. Then we'll have to pick a stipulation for that one. Dr. Bropio. My ex threw a bird at me because I didn't respond to her tweets. Thank you, Elon, you stupid idiot. Last one for some time again, thank you. Thank you, sir. The Rock versus Sting with the 1999 says, I take it Solomonster won't finish the story in 2K23. Sorry, last time I'll use finish the story, maybe. I don't know. I have peer pressure. People are trying to pressure me into continuing on the journey, picking back up with it. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm considering it. Trill Mexican 305 says Solomonster needs to book the women's match better. That's right. I do. You got to hold up the sign. I got to book the division better. Nobody books the division worse than I do, but just based on this Be the Booker stuff. I mean, I do a pretty good job, I think, with House of Glory, but that's different, though. Be the Booker. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. There's no worse women's division in wrestling than the one we have here on Be the Booker. I just don't understand it. Oh, no. Hogan in the thong on the wrecking ball. That's Base Beerus coming in with a $15 super chat. This may be the last one of the night. What is your Mount Rushmore of dogs in wrestling? RVD looked great tonight. Didn't know Jannetty's foot was that bad. Acknowledge the tribal goose. Yeah, Jannetty's foot it's just mangled. His ankle is just... And to think, it all started with the injury at the Survivor Series in 1996. You go back and watch the match, he rolled his ankle badly early in the match, and he's limping on it for the rest of the match, and it just never... That was 96. And it just never healed properly, or he didn't give it a chance maybe to heal properly. He's been having ankle problems ever since. It's a long time. But as far as my Mount Rushmore of dogs, well, Matilda's up there, man. Matilda is probably my number one, because when I grew up a wrestling fan, it was all about the Bulldogs and Matilda. Then I would go Pepper. I still feel badly for poor Pepper when the boss man turned him into pepper steak. And then, I don't know, what other dogs are there? I mean, Pharaoh the dog, Cody's dog, who was scarred for life by the Pyro in AEW. I don't know. Oh, Fifi. That's right. Fifi the dog. Rene Dupree's dog, Fifi. Naughty Delicious says Mankind against Shawn Michaels with Stone Cold as the special referee. That works for me. Did Tori Wilson have a dog named Chloe? I have no memory of that. You know what? I think B has the correct answer. I think B has the correct answer. I think Trish Stratus had the best puppies. Stephanie, of course, Stephanie's dog. That tied into the whole WrestleMania main event that year. Lucy, that's what it was. Lucy the dog. Lucy the dog. When Triple H and Stephanie were divorcing and feuding in storyline, and Chris Jericho, the champion, heading into WrestleMania, was basically just background noise. Poor Lucy the dog got run over by a limousine. EJ Slemp with the $4.99 says Kurt was right. Marty Jannetty still can't walk. He's just a sexy Kurt who will make your ankle hurt. I was disappointed that they did not even broach the subject of the Jannetty Kurt Angle match during that special. I mean, they talked about the Rockers reunion in 2005, but no mention of the match with Kurt, which honestly was one of the better matches, I think, of Jannetty's career as far as like singles matches. Retro KOH says, how can you leave out Larry? Oh my God, Larry the dog. Yeah, how did I forget about Larry? The most controversial dog in wrestling history. Larry the dog. And Omar with the $2. Would a Muhammad Hassan-like gimmick work nowadays? I don't think so, no. I mean, arguably it was a terrible idea even back then. But I don't think it would work today. And honestly, I wouldn't want to saddle somebody with that gimmick. You know, you look what it did for Hassan's career. I don't see how saddling somebody with that gimmick is going to do anything good for them in the long term. So I wouldn't want to put that around somebody. I just think it would do more harm than good. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Larry was never on screen. We'll never know the full story. Unfortunately, Larry, they took his paw print. He signed that NDA. So he's not allowed to speak. If he does, he'll have his kibbles and bits taken away. Tony Khan will personally go to his house and knock out his other teeth. So Larry has to keep his mouth shut. He got a nice settlement out of it, though. Not allowed to talk about it, but he got a nice settlement out of it. Evil Sergeant Slaughter would work today. You got to be careful with Sergeant Slaughter. Apparently, if you use any of his moves on TV, he'll sue you. I think Sergeant Slaughter has finally reached that age where he's starting to lose his marbles. Steve says he's got a... Oh, my God. I totally misread that. Steve Mello, shout out to Steve Mello in the chat, who I could have sworn just posted something that said he has a massive boner. He was referring to Larry, I think. He says he's got a massive bone. Okay, that's a very different message than what I initially read that as. I said, Steve, some things are better left unsaid. You should keep that to yourself. Look, I know these streams get you very excited. I appreciate that, but come on. You got to keep that to yourself. This is a family show. All right, well, this has been fun, although that just took a turn there, so that might be a good point to kind of jump off the train. We'll be back on Friday. We'll do this all over again because we have to talk about SmackDown. Roman Reigns will be on the show. The supposedly injured Roman Reigns, who I don't think is all that injured, but Roman Reigns will be back on the show on Friday, so it'll be the post-SummerSlam edition of SmackDown. We'll talk about that. And then for those of you who missed it, huge episode, almost 3 hours long, episode 820 of the Sound Off, the biggest flagship that I've done in years. This past Sunday, covering a whole myriad of topics, some that are already on the channel, some that are not. So make sure you support, go back, check it out, stream, leave a comment, share. All that stuff is very helpful. Subscribe to the feed if you're not already subscribed on your favorite podcasting platform. Be well, stay safe. Thank you for all the love. And I am going to try to get some sleep. And Steve is going to have to try to calm himself down. I'll see you guys on Friday. Take care. Hey, The Rock versus Sting. Coming in with a $9.99. Russo on a pole, bro. Getting the last word. Says, also, I was right about the Jimmy turn on Jay at SummerSlam. Take your victory lap. Rock versus Sting, you earned it. Thank you for the love.